Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. It's 5 o'clock Friday phone call, and we're going to take a phone call regarding the Maurissa and Riley potential breakup. As we've reported earlier today, Maurissa has deleted photos of Riley from her Instagram, posted a Instagram story receiving flowers, and it appears as though their relationship is no longer. We could be wrong, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for them, which is too bad. We loved them on Bachelor in Paradise. They coined the idea of spending Sundays together. That was their big thing, their big Sunday morning energy that they had. But let's get to the voicemail, and then I'm going to read a couple of your comments about what could have gone wrong. Respectfully, we like to always look at these situations and wonder, how can we better improve our way of communicating? Now, sometimes two people just aren't meant to be together, but other times a lack of communication or communication styles can butt and or other problems that might exist due to jealousy, different attachment disorders. We'll talk about a few of those things. Not a psychologist, not a therapist, but it's always good to at least discuss what we bring to the table in our relationships, because we can only do what we can to communicate our way of feeling and thinking to the other, but we have to also understand that the other person in the relationship, we need to know what they're trying to say back to us. Does that make sense? All right, let's get right into it. I'm going to play a voicemail here from a good friend over here in Dallas, Texas.
Hey, this is Jonna Pinetta from Dallas, Texas. I wanted to give a shout out to my sister Frances, who's a teacher here in Dallas. She does some amazing work. I'm very proud of her. We're both huge fans of the channel. But I wanted to comment on the whole Maurissa and Riley situation, because I think a lot of us go through this. Even me now, I'm married now. We just got married in September, and we have a 1-year-old baby girl.
Congrats.
And at the beginning of our relationship, I was very insecure, kind of like with Maurissa, freaking out about Riley being at the party. I would freak out when he wasn't around. I'd be like, oh my gosh, he must be hanging out with those girls. Well, he wasn't. He was usually just at home playing video games. But I mean, we all kind of go through those things, and I'm upset that they broke up, because I love them as a couple, and you know, it's sad to do this, but it's meant to be. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Because me and my husband, we started off like in that kind of way, but look at us now. 7 years later, we were happily married in Texas. Go Cowboys! We had a Dallas Cowboys themed wedding in September, and we have 3 beautiful children. I have 2 identical twin boys that are 8. And from a previous relationship, and then we have our beautiful daughter together, and couldn't be happier. So thank you so much for all the hard work you do. I watch all of your videos. My sister does too. We're huge fans. We're so glad that we could be a part of this.
Oh, how kind.
Bachelor Nation fan. We do it together.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and I'll keep watching.
Much appreciated. Appreciate the phone call. Now, that was someone who, congratulations on your new marriage. Just got married, didn't get the invite. That's all right. That's okay. No worries. I'll show up to your wedding. What do you need? Open bar, buffet, as long as you got lasagna or, just something nice. None of that dried chicken nonsense. You know what I mean? Some foods just chicken cacciatore at weddings. No, thanks. All right. So, yeah, look. Caller says she understood some of the sort of neediness that can exist. Now, I wanted to show you guys. We'll get into a few other comments here in a second, because I said that Maurissa may be codependent like myself. Some people didn't like, or someone didn't like maybe the use of the term codependent. So we'll talk about that in a second. But first, you guys have really outdone it today. I launched the Dave Neal Show earlier this morning. 229 subs. Let's just hit a refresher and see where we're at. 293. Oh my gosh, 293 subscribers just in the first half day. When we hit 1,000 subs, I'll be making non-Bachelor content. If you enjoy what I'm doing over here, I'll find other interesting and fun thought-provoking conversations outside of the Bachelor world, and we'll do that on that channel. All right. So that's not what I wanted here. So let's go to this one. I must be old school, but when the foundation of your relationship is the bedroom, that's not a very good foundation. Preach. The show is a mockery of marriage and engagement. Now, look, we're going to get people that say, well, you can't, if you give them the milk, why the cow? Well, whatever. The fact that they hooked up in the boom boom room on Bachelor in Paradise. I don't necessarily agree with what they're saying. I think in some relationships, they don't work well if you start sexually, but in others, they do. You know what I mean? Like every relationship is different. I don't think you can just say that the relationship didn't work out because they had sex. I don't think you can say that. I think, look, it's 2022. Sometimes maybe withholding from sex might be good for you if that's what you decide to do. But then other times people will leave a comment and say, hey, my husband, my wife, we're super happy. We've been together forever. We started as a one-night stand. I mean, it happens both ways. We can't properly say that they were making a mockery of marriage and engagement just because, marriage means something to different people. But of course, if the relationship is over, we do know it started fast and it ended fast here. But most Bachelor relationships do. This is not breaking news here. Carly said, I would say it's worth it to not frame Maurissa as having been shown as codependent, but rather has some anxious attachment behavior instincts, which she owned at the time. Many people do. I don't think you judge her. I know you don't. But codependent is so pejorative in our culture, it's worth dismantling. Yeah, I love to, hey, I'm the first one to want to get it right when it comes to terms. It's like, well, was that gaslighting? Well, technically gaslighting exists, but that was X, Y, and Z. I'm the first that loves to do that. I say codependent because maybe that's just the easiest term I think of. Codependency means putting someone else's needs ahead of your own, and you're right. Maurissa didn't necessarily do that, but you are correct. When we watch, and again, we watch this scripted show, so who knows what's right and what actually happened. But Riley was out there at the party doing the worm on the dance floor, and Maurissa was losing her mind, and we watched that happen. We've all been there. We've all, maybe not all of us, but a lot of us have been there, including myself, where you've worked yourself into a panic-inducing or anxiety attack, so real wild things the body can do when you start to worry that you're being cheated on or all these other things happening. And it's more often the case something that's wrong with you on the inside, and it's something you need to address on the inside because you need to be able to trust your partner. If you're not together, you need to be able to have your own life. Relationships need to be a dessert, not the main course. And too often, I think we've romanticized relationships as the main course. Oh, if I could only find my perfect other, I'll be complete. You have to be complete on your own before you can let someone else appreciate your completeness. You understand? You can't wait for someone to water your lawn. You got to water it yourself. And then your relationship needs to be the lawn next to you, and you guys can enjoy each other. You know what I mean? Is that good enough? All right, so we go to WebMD here. Attachment styles, because I'm not an expert. I'm sure there's something wrong with this, but this is a start. 4 main attachment styles that include secure, anxious, ambivalent, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. These attachments can shape the way you react and behave in your adult relationships, especially with a romantic partner. Understanding these patterns can help you learn what you need and how to overcome problems. Secure attachment. People with a secure attachment style have empathy but can set boundaries. They're satisfied in their close relationships and feel safe and stable. As a child, your parents were probably good at responding to your needs and managing their own stress in healthy ways. Well, that one ain't me then. People who have secure relationship have a good sense of self-worth, openly express feelings, easily ask for and give support, like being with others but don't get anxious if they are not. I will say I probably worked into a more of a secure attachment style in this relationship, but I've also been the anxious type. Trust me, I've been that way before. Anxious, ambivalent attachment. People with anxious attachment are usually needy. They're anxious and have low self-esteem. They want to be close with others, but are afraid that people don't want to be with them. As a child, your parent probably were inconsistent. They might have responded sometimes, other times they might have been distracted or just not there. You might have felt anxious and unsure and felt like your parents were all over the place, or parent. Anxious avoidant attachment, which I think this is the attachment style we hear about most. People with anxious avoidant attachments are the opposite of needy. Instead of wanting to be emotionally close, they avoid connecting with others. They might rely on themselves, crave freedom, and find emotions to be difficult. And I always consider this to be counterdependency, of course. This is a different term, but I always saw codependence as being needy of others and counterdependence pushing them away. But of course, it's different. It's different. And I appreciate the commenter bringing this up so we can learn. It's important to learn these definitions because we might see one of these in ourselves. Your parents were probably unavailable as a child. They might have rejected your needs or emotions, and you learned to withdraw and soothe yourself. You learned to avoid closeness or maybe never knew what it felt like and now avoid it altogether. Now, if I had to, and I'm not here to diagnose others, but my fiance and I have talked about this a ton. The idea that she may be more of the avoidant, the anxious avoidant, and I'm more of the anxious ambivalent. And they can be drawn together like magnets. Disorganized attachment. People with this attachment style don't feel they deserve love. They usually have an intense fear, which may come from childhood trauma, abuse, or neglect. If you have this attachment style, you might have a caregiver who ignored your needs or had chaotic behavior that was scary and traumatizing. They might have had their own emotional problems. The impact of anxious attachment. Having an anxious attachment can make it difficult to cope with stress and change. You might have trouble with romantic relationships, friendships, and other relationships. So anyway, we could get into all of this. The point is, if any of that relates to you or someone that in your life that you love, read up a little bit on it. We're all on this earth, in my opinion, to try to overcome whatever trauma we have from this life or past lives. Look, I'm not above knowing how it all works. All I know is we're here in sort of a video game, right? And we don't get to the next level until we cure whatever it is right now that we have baggage with. And that level doesn't mean an unearthly level. That might mean like you're gonna keep meeting the same jerks. You're gonna keep getting yourself in the same attachment of relationships, the same different issues until you address root problems and then overcome them. When you are sort of like feeling your best, when you've overcome certain reasons of why you're needy, when you answer all of these questions your soul has, you're going to meet someone who really wants to be with you because they're going to feel that radiance that you exhibit to others. So the point being, and again, this may or may not relate to Maurissa and Riley, but it for sure is a decent conversation to have. The point being, the more secure you are in yourself. I'll tell you what, the 2 or 3 times in my past where I had probably full on panic attacks in relationships when I was going through a breakup, each one of those times, I was in between jobs. I didn't have much going on in my life. I had too much free time. I had all these issues with myself. So I put all of my identity in these relationships that were failing. And then when the relationship fails, it's like, what are you left with? You're stripped down to nothing. You've got nothing going on. Be the main course, and then the relationship as a dessert will be appreciated that much more. Let me know what you guys think about all this. I very much appreciate the phone calls and comments that we've gotten. You guys are fantastic in the way that you hold these conversations, and I'm glad to be a part of this community. Thanks again to everyone who subscribed to the new channel. There'll be a link below if you want to join in. All right, bye guys.